Alright, so this is one from the archives. I thought I had lost all this footage a while ago. This is a look at my Hellboy that I created for the Empire State Comic Con back in 2018 that I made and dressed and competed in within the span of 3 days. I started on Wednesday and I had it done by Friday. We start in this video right off of me just completing the fabrication of the right hand of doom. So I hope you guys like what you see, enjoy the tips, and stick around to the end of the video for some photographs. It's a great look back at a con that I had an awesome time with, especially with everything going on. It's just good to look back. Alright, hope you dig it. Be well. Ignore the terribly messy hair. Yeah, my right hand of doom. Check it out. Going to plasti dip it right now, then I can get to working on paint. And I'm going to work on this bad boy, but I'm working on the tail right now, which is just a piece of insulation foam that you use to put on pipes, and that's where it's going to mate up with the back of my pants, probably make a loop for my belt, and it's super light, so I'll hardly notice it's on. I'm waiting for contact cement to dry there so I can close that up, and yeah, I'm going to brush on some Mod Podge instead of plasti dip first, because I want to have an extra layer of protection against the plasti dip, because that stuff can be a little caustic and eat away at foam. I do have some pieces to do a test before I do that. If the plasti dip eats away at it, I will do another coat of Mod Podge and I will spray paint it, and that'll be that. But yeah, look at that, I've got soot, not soot, sanding dust from grinding on Hellboy, and they let me live stream for 15-20 minutes with soot on my nose and nobody said a thing. Thanks, guys. So anyway, also I needed a horseshoe for Hellboy because he carries a horseshoe around. I can't remember the significance, but I grabbed one of the toy horseshoes and kind of heated it up and warped it, made a little more metal looking, drilled holes where the nails would be for the horseshoe, sprayed it with a flat black, and then I'm going to go in all the pockets and rust it, and a little bit of silver rub and buff on it and make it look like real metal, and hang it from the waistband. First pass of plasti dip over the tail. I'm going to hit it again. Obviously it sank into some of the pores even though I sealed it with a heat gun, so that's going to be taken care of. I have my old trench coat from high school. I have not worn it since then, but it does still fit. But what I've got here is a shoe polish diluted with regular water in a empty Windex bottle. And what I'm going to do is just start weathering it. Most spatters are okay, because once that's on there, the boy's going to come in and just do this. Drag the color into the material. And I'm going to start doing that all over the whole thing until it's that kind of murky, dingy color. I'm going to go down here on the bottom and really darken it up and leave it some of it to stain and just make a mess. Alright, we're out here, we're in an undisclosed location getting ready to shoot Hellboy. Here we've got the head that I made for Hellboy. Now the top of this is just an old cosplay dome that I'd made using the Evil Ted base pattern. It was actually the very first thing that I had ever made. So it was covered with some other stuff, and I snatched it all off, kind of sanded it, and just used the hot glue that was excess on there to add texture to the head and make it look like a little bit of battle damage. Now the cracks that are happening here and here were from me dropping the helmet at the photo shoot, so I'm going to have to repair those before the next photo shoot, but that's okay. Let me load it back on here. The horns, I just traced a circle container for 2-part silicone putty and cut it out of foam, stuck it on there, and then sealed it in with Flex Seal. A little bit of water on my finger and just sculpted it and put it on there and sculpted it and let that sit for a little bit. You're supposed to let it dry for 24 hours, but I have the patience of a 5-year-old, so I skipped that part, hit it with the heat gun so the outside kind of tacked up to a coating, and then when I moved further along I was able to plasti dip over it and paint over it with no issue. I took the Dremel and made some scars and scratches and everything on the horns because, you know, he keeps them filed down and cut. The hair is made from 1mm EVA foam roll that I bought at Michael's a while ago, and I have 2 or 3 rolls of it left over. But I just layered it on there and made the comic book kind of hairline mixed a little bit with Ron Perlman's hairline, and it came out pretty damn good. I'm happy with it. So you're seeing all the raised features on his face, the nose, the cheekbones into the eye sockets, and the eyebrow, and the big gruff chin. And those are all cut out of EVA foam floor mats. And I essentially just found a picture online that I liked of someone else's Hellboy helmet and went from there and modified it to make what I wanted. I wanted a longer face because I have a big beard. So I made the longer face, and this layer of the face is made from that same EVA foam that's made from. The beard is made from the same EVA foam that it's made from. The eyes, you're probably wondering about those. Those are made from that sewing mesh that people get at Michael's and Joann's, and I actually think it serves a purpose for knitting. But what I did was I just cut a rectangular shape of that would fit in the backside, and I installed it, and then I painted the yellow and the black trim around the eyes to give it that comic book look. So I'm really happy with how it came out. It is, however, super hot. So I recommend, if somebody decides to do this, maybe put some venting in the back of the helmet, or make it with enough space that you can put a fan in there or some type of cooling wrap. I didn't do that, and as soon as I got out in the parking lot, I thought it was going to collapse. So again, if you're going to wear this, it gets hot, it is foam. Perhaps come up with some ventilation options, but I'm happy with that. Now, for the left hand, before we get to the right hand of Doom, for the left hand, I went with a long elbow-length costume glove that I picked up from a local costume place here called The Costumer. They have a pretty expansive website, and they actually do online sales, so check those guys out if you'd like to. But I bought these costumed elbow-length gloves because the jacket that I had, and I'm not wearing it right now, but when I raise my hand up or I go to do something, the sleeve would pull back a little bit, and it exposed my wrist. So rather than do the makeup and have to worry about rub and sweating and all that, I went with the gloves, and it was a pretty good option. I'd do it again. I would like to find some that are contact sensitive for touch phones, because I couldn't vlog at all when I had these gloves on. I had to take them off and use my right hand to do any sort of vlogging, so I'd love to be able to keep that on for vlogs and one less thing to take off. The leather glove is just a pair of women's leather gloves that I had bought at Walmart for cosplay. They were on clearance for $1.25. And I figured, I'd seen in some images he has this, over glove or whatever. So I went with that, cut the fingertips off and slipped it on over here, and it just adds another dimension. I also wear some beads as an homage to the movie version that go around my wrist here, but they're from my personal collection and I don't have them down here in the cosplay workshop. Overall, I love the look that it gave. It conveyed exactly what I wanted it to. Didn't come off as too hokey in comparison to the rest, because I was doing the comic book look. So yeah, elbow length glove, fingerless glove, which was made from regular gloves. And that's what I do for the left. Now let's check out the right. Now on to the right hand of Doom. This bad boy was the piece that I got going on. This is the one that I started to do first so that I could tackle the biggest part of the project and work backwards from there. Initially it was about yay big. It actually had a little more length to it, and when I showed pictures, the more I looked at the pictures as I was doing it and sending them to people to get their opinions, I saw that it was too long, and the Nerdy Monkey encouraged me to maybe crop it down a little bit, and I did. It worked out a lot better. I had seen how Adam Savage's looked from his comic Hellboy, which is dope, super dope. Check it out on the Tested YouTube channel, or go to tested.com. Then I saw how Odin makes his Hellboy hand with the fingers, with the puppet fingers. Those were super cool, but I didn't have the time to do the puppet fingers, or really the want to do puppet fingers. But instead what I did was I put armature wire in each of my fingers so that I can make him do poses like that, because I'm a child. But the really cool thing about that is I added the knuckle segments all the way around, so you can see them on the inside of the fingers and the outside of the fingers, and that allows that the Plasti Dip is able to bend and flex when I put them in that pose and not crack and wear too much. So I'm super proud with how that came out. As far as the knuckles go, they're just circles that I chose, weathered them up with the Dremel, and then I chose to do the runes freehand. I didn't base them on any super particular image. I found some artwork on Google image search, I found some artwork from the movies, I found concept art, I found comic book art, and I kind of just went crazy with the chaotic nature of it, and I added dings and pock marks and maybe what looks like where a bullet impacted cracks along it, and I'm just really happy with how it came out, and it's super light too. And I don't know how well this camera can pick it up in there, but there's actually a handle so that I can hold it inside and not have to worry about dropping it when I put my arm down, even though it is a pretty snug fit. That's without me holding onto the handle. It's a pretty snug fit on my wrist when I want it to be, and I can really push myself down in there and almost touch where the fingertips start. It held up amazingly. It actually, in some of the photos that we took at the photo shoot, I was able to hold the sword with it. So that's really cool. At the end of the day, if I make another version, I'll actually change the way the palm is. I'm not 100% sold on how the palm is, but just making my own templates and kind of going on with scrap foam. This was all scrap pieces of foam and scrap armature wire and things left over from another project. I'm so impressed with how it came out, and I really made myself happy, especially only doing this for 3 days. So there you have it on the right hand of doom. Check it out. That's what's up. Huge thank you goes out to all my friends who really encouraged me to bust this guy out over the course of 3 days. That's all it took, was 3 days for me to make this costume. And I really pushed myself in different aspects of my artistry. So I'm really thankful for that. The Nerdy Monkey, Liam the G.I. Jew, you know, you guys were just both paramount in helping hype me up and get me excited for this project, and really supported me on that, so thank you very much. To everybody that cheered for me at the Empire State Comic-Con costume contest, thank you, thank you, thank you. I didn't place, but that's okay. I was up against some amazing competition, and I got some really cool pictures from the Rhode Island Comic-Con staff that I'm going to share in this story. So thanks for coming back to 2019 with me to check out this build. Yeah, Hellboy was built over the course of 3 days. I had a really good time doing it, and I miss building cosplay. I miss being in my workshop, so hopefully this stuff will get taken care of sooner than later. Everyone will be safe. We'll be back to going to cons in a safe manner. So if you like what you saw, hit the like button. Please subscribe if you're not already. Hit the bell for notifications, and if you have any questions, leave them down below. Alright guys, be well.